What makes a fighter a legend? Is it the highlight reel knockouts, the championships? For Dustin Poirier, the answer isn't that simple. It's found somewhere between the blinding lights of the Octagon and the quiet determination of a man who's always on a mission. It's in the heart of a warrior, but also in the soul of a philanthropist. This is the story of how a man who built his name on controlled violence became one of the most important symbols of hope in his community. This is the story of a true BMF for life. The diamond in the rough before he was the diamond. Dustin Poirier was just a kid from Lafayette, Louisiana. His early life was a constant battle. Growing up, he faced challenges that would break most people. He was drawn to fighting not as a sport, but as a part of life on the streets. That aggression led to trouble. He ran with the wrong crowd and spent time in juvenile detention. He dropped out of high school in the 9th grade, feeling lost and heading down a path that seemed destined for a dead end. But in that chaos, a flicker of purpose appeared. Poirier had always been captivated by combat sports. And when he finally walked into a boxing gym, something clicked. He saw fighters training in a new electrifying sport, mixed martial arts. The moment he put on the gloves, all the directionless energy that had led him to trouble found a new home. The gym became his sanctuary. He started training at 18, juggling odd jobs to make ends meet while dedicating every spare moment to his craft. His future wife, Jolie, whom he'd known since middle school, was right there with him, driving him to amateur fights across the country. He turned pro in 2009 and immediately started making waves, racking up a 7-0 record on the regional circuit. His raw power was undeniable. This wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline. Fighting gave him discipline, a purpose, and a way out. The kid from the rough side of Lafayette was starting to polish himself into something brilliant. He was becoming the diamond, forging a legacy in the Octagon. In 2011, Dustin Poirier stepped into the UFC. He started out at featherweight, a young, hungry lion in a shark tank. His early career was a mix of thrilling wins and tough lessons, but one thing was always clear. When Dustin Poirier fought, you watched. He even scored a submission win over a very young Max Holloway in their first meeting, a hint of the greatness both men would later achieve. But the real turning point came in 2015 when he moved up to lightweight. No longer drained by a brutal weight cut, Poirier was stronger, more durable, and more dangerous than ever. He became a 155-pound wrecking machine, tearing through what is famously the most stacked division in the sport. He wasn't just winning, he was putting on unforgettable shows. His resume is a who's who of modern MMA. He holds victories over 5 former world champions: Anthony Pettis, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, and Max Holloway twice. And of course, there's the rivalry that launched him into superstardom, Conor McGregor. After losing their first fight years earlier, Poirier came back to knock McGregor out in their rematch, becoming the first man in MMA to do so. He won their trilogy fight a few months later after McGregor suffered a severe leg injury, cementing a 2-1 series lead for Poirier. Poirier's style is pure grit. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but is best known for his world-class boxing, a relentless forward pressure attack that has put him in the record books. As of 2025, he's tied for the most knockouts in UFC lightweight history with 9. His wars against Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker are legendary, brutal affairs that left fans breathless. In 2019, he reached a career pinnacle, defeating Max Holloway in a 5-round classic to become the interim UFC lightweight champion. Though he fell short in his bids for the undisputed title against legends like Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev, his legacy was never going to be defined by a single piece of gold. His professional record of 30 wins with 15 knockouts and 8 submissions speaks for itself. It's a legacy built on blood, sweat, and the respect earned by fighting the absolute best for over a decade. It earned him the reputation as one of the baddest to ever do it. But as it turns out, his biggest fight was happening outside the cage. The good fight. For Dustin Poirier, the fight doesn't end when the final bell rings. In 2018, he and his wife Jolie founded the Good Fight Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to helping underserved communities back home in Louisiana. This wasn't a publicity stunt, it was a personal mission to give back to the place that made him. It all started with a simple idea. After a fight, Poirier decided to auction off his fight kit to raise money for a local food bank. That first auction provided 3,000 meals for families in need. From there, it snowballed. With each fight, Poirier dedicated his gear to a new cause. The auctions have funded everything from building playgrounds for children with special needs to helping provide clean drinking water in Uganda. The Good Fight Foundation has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, supporting organizations like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and providing relief during natural disasters. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they donated over 1,000 meals to frontline medical workers. In a true show of class, after his title fight with Charles Oliveira, Poirier kept his promise and donated $20,000 to Oliveira's charity in Brazil, which offers free martial arts training to underprivileged kids. What makes Poirier's charity work so authentic is how hands-on he is. He's not just a name on a website, he's on the ground, doing the work. One of the foundation's biggest events is its annual back-to-school drive. In 2025, they set a goal to give away up to 1,500 backpacks filled with school supplies to local students. For his incredible efforts, Poirier was honoured in 2020 as the very first recipient of the UFC's Forrest Griffin Community Award, celebrating his profound impact outside the sport. He fights for glory in the Octagon, but in his community, he fights for something more. He fights the good fight. Dustin's work with the Good Fight Foundation is a powerful reminder that anyone can make a difference. If his story inspired you, consider learning more by visiting thegoodfightgroup.com. And if you want to see more stories about fighters changing the world, make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments who we should feature next. BMF for life. So what does it really mean to be a BMF? The UFC created a symbolic belt for it, a title for warriors who never back down and leave a piece of themselves in the cage every single time. Dustin Poirier embodies that spirit as much as anyone. He is a fighter's fighter, respected by his peers and adored by fans for his heart and heavy hands. But his legacy proves that being a BMF is about more than just toughness. It's about character. It's about fighting for something bigger than yourself. Dustin Poirier's career is a masterclass in resilience, a journey from a troubled kid in Louisiana to a global MMA icon. He has a Hall of Fame resume with wins over a staggering number of champions and a highlight reel that can go up against anyone. He has given us some of the most unforgettable wars in UFC history. But his true greatness, his lasting impact, is measured in the lives he's changed. It's measured in the meals he's provided, the school supplies he's handed out, and the hope he's given his community. He built his name through violence, but he'll be remembered for his compassion. He is a man who understands that the platform he earned with his fists is a tool to do good in the world. He is the diamond forged under pressure, brilliant in the spotlight, and unbreakable in spirit. He is a warrior in the cage and a champion for his community. And that combination of grit and grace is what makes him more than just a legend of the sport. It's what makes him a BMF for life.